I'm going to go after the Democrats as far as their blue wave, and we're going to be actually talk honestly in an unscheduled conversation about what really happened here. Look, Farron. One thing we've always done. We've been 18 years business, right? Ring of Fire has been 18 years.
Somewhere around there, yeah.
How long have you been a commentator for Ring of Fire?
We'll say started in '04, but so
okay.
14 and a
long
half-ish.
time, long time. But I think our brand hopefully has always been to call balls and strikes. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm an independent. I don't know what. I've never really even asked you what your politics are, and that's a good relationship. But I watched the midterm elections. And what I was doing is I forced myself to go to Breitbart and then Drudge and then Daily Caller, and then I'll go to HuffPost and Alternate and TP. I'll mix it up, and I'll try to say, what do I take away from that? What was my takeaway? Well, the biggest takeaway that I came out of this last election is the big lie. Okay, the Democrats are still lying to the rank and file. Oh, we've changed the course. Things are going to be different now. Okay. Let's talk about the House. Just take the House with 36, 37 turnover in the House.
Yeah, somewhere in the 30 margin. Votes are still coming in, so we still don't know
Okay,
final.
So if we were to take just the typical midterm election that historically has always been there, and we were to say how many seats shift in a midterm election, how many seats in the House, how many typically shift, it's going to be anywhere between 20, 25, I think, to 40, somewhere in that range. That's typically what's going to happen. Now, historically, that has always happened in every midterm election. The only time it hasn't, the last time I can remember is Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was being impeached, and I think 65 or almost 70 House seats flowed over. Republicans won. It was the exception to the rule. So here we are, right within the exception to the rule. There is no exception to the rule. It's the norm. We shifted, and you've got HuffPost and TMP or TPN, whatever, Talking Points Memo, these kinds of sites lying to people about what this means, because they had loaded up with the blue wave. Okay. Loaded up with it. They had to then support the blue wave. But there was no blue wave. And so now why don't we honest about where we really are, you see? Because now we control the House, and what the progressives do. I don't ever associate me with the term Democrat, but always associate me with progressive. What do progressives do now? Do they now the lie's been told? We think we should be jubilant, but where do we screw up? Where do we screw up?
We screw up underestimating how fired up the Republicans also were. Polls, everything, all the smart number crunchers out there told us the blue wave was coming, been telling us for months, and it didn't, because they never took into account the fact that Republican voters are also mad. We may not agree with the reason they're mad, but damn it, they're mad and they're coming out to the polls, and they did. They showed us that, they can meet our outrage and anger with outrage and anger of their own and steal a couple Senate seats that people thought was absolutely impossible. Most of us, thought Republicans keeping the Senate was a given. None of us thought they were going to take extra seats from the Democrats.
Nobody did.
That is a big turnover. The only real victories were ballot initiatives. 1.4 million voters in Florida with felony records will get to vote in 2020.
Correct.
That could change this state forever.
Yes.
The other, Medicaid expansions in 3 red states. Those are huge. 7 governorships flipped from Republican to Democrat. Those are big. Taking the House back by a small margin when you've got such an embattled Republican Party, that's not a victory.
Okay, listen, Farron, here's the way I see it, okay? First of all, the Democrat, I heard that goof. I mean, the guy's an absolute buffoon. The Schiff guy, where was it, California?
Adam Schiff.
He's a buffoon, okay? He's coming out immediately saying all the wrong things. You don't come out the next day, okay, investigations are going to be, we're going to impeach, we're going to now investigate whether or not there's grounds to remove Sessions. The guy is a freak. They need to put a muzzle on this little freak because he's killing the chance for progressive change like we talk about all the time. If the Democrats now go and they make investigations and, you know, they make all of this all they're about, and they forget the thing that you talk about all the time. They forget, what does the party stand for?
Right.
What is it that what is the word association with Democrat? Is it Democrat in jobs? Is it Democrat in bringing jobs back into the country? Is it Democrat? What is it? You see, what is it? Is it Democrat? I have no, if I were to ask you today, I can say, okay, Democrat on social issues. Yeah, I got it. You know, they're going to be good on social issues. No question. That's important. But that is not resonating with America. And they don't understand. This was no huge victory. And these nuts that are out there saying, oh, this is a ground shift. If they believe that and they don't take note about what's really happening, we're going to be in real trouble in 2020.
It's always dangerous to get a false sense of hope and security and safety, and I think a lot of these outlets are being very irresponsible. And some of them are outlets I truly respect, not Huffington Post, of course, but you know, some of these outlets, and I don't even want to call them out, but I've been very unhappy with their reporting, saying how great this was, because it's not. But here's the thing.
But Farron, you've always called them out, and we have to continue calling them out because it's a fraud. That is true. It is an absolute fraud. Listen, Abrams loses it loses in Georgia. Okay, the African American population in Georgia is 65%. Those are the demographics. 65%, which leads me to the idea, how angry were the Republicans? I mean, I don't care if it's even razor thin. How angry do they have to be for Kemp, who is an absolute fraud? You know, all you got to do is read the first page on Kemp. The guy's a fraud. So Kemp beats Abrams in Georgia? Where, you know, tell me, what's your reaction to that?
No, it's insane. And a lot of it has to do with, you know, reports are coming out to Wednesday afternoon. There's about 1,500 voting machines locked in a warehouse because they wouldn't release them. So you had areas waiting 4 or 5 hours. So that played a role, but it shouldn't have even been close for that to matter.
No,
and that's the issue,
how
too.
How would it even happen? What you're talking about voting machines? Every election, as you've pointed out in some of your articles, you got the same people coming out and saying, we got to get the voting process under control. We got to stop fraud. We have to have machines that work. We have to have the polling system work in a way that works. The Democrats don't worry about that until they get beat. And then they say, oh, there's a problem with the polling.
And then they forget
about it. And then they forget about it within 4 months.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
But listen, look, Democrats want to come in and they think that they got elected on a mandate to investigate Trump. That's not what it was. You look at polls on issues. They want climate change action. Democrats, Republicans, and everyone else, same for Medicare for all. Debt-free college is almost at those same numbers. They want issues. They want problems solved.
Why don't the Democrats talk about it? And again, I am way not a Democrat. Way not a Democrat. I'm way farther left than most Democrats. I can promise you that. But I hate to see it's affecting the entire progressive movement because you've got this thing, this DNC thing that we can't shake up. It's like Michael Moore came out this week and he said, really, you're going to run Kamala Harris and Cory Booker as presidents? Michael Moore even saying, are you crazy? Get away from those old Democratic days. I don't know. We got to talk about this a lot more.
Well, you also have the crazy faction that thinks that Michael Avenatti would be a good presidential candidate.
Avenatti. Oh yeah. Let me get Avenatti in a deposition. Just put me in a deposition with Avenatti. Let's see how that goes.